Greyhaven was not a beautiful colony. It was a poor human settlement built under a dark metal sky. The streets were narrow, the lights were weak, and rain often fell through broken pipes above the lower colony corridor. People worked hard there, but no one had much to give. Ethan Cole lived in that place alone. He was a human mechanic. Every day he repaired small ships, broken engines, old heaters, and damaged machines inside an alien workshop near the space market. His clothes were always dirty with oil, and his hands were always covered in small cuts. He was not rich. He was not famous. Most people passed him without even looking at him. But Ethan had one thing many powerful people did not have: a kind heart. One evening, after a long day of work, Ethan walked through the futuristic space market. Alien sellers shouted prices. Traders argued over parts. Guards watched the poor with cold eyes. The rain fell hard outside the market roof, and dirty water ran across the metal floor. That was when Ethan saw her. A small alien girl sat near a closed food stall. She had pale blue skin, large silver eyes, and a thin, weak body wrapped in simple cloth. Her small hands were shaking from the cold. In one hand, she held a broken food token. She tried to give it to a seller. The seller looked at the token and pushed her hand away. "This is dead credit," he said. "Go away." The little girl did not argue. She only lowered her head and held her stomach. People walked past her. No one stopped. Ethan stopped. He walked to the seller and placed his own credits on the counter. "Food," Ethan said. "And warm water." The seller looked annoyed, but he gave him a small meal. Ethan knelt in front of the child and held out the food. She looked at him with fear. "I don't want anything from you," Ethan said gently. "You're just hungry." The girl slowly took the food. Her name was Nira. Ethan gave her his coat and fixed the broken metal band on her wrist. He thought it was only a family tracker. Before she left, Nira whispered, "Why help me?" Ethan smiled sadly. "Because you were hungry." Nira ran into the rain. Far away, the repaired band sent a hidden signal. A dark voice said, "The lost heir is alive." 3 days passed. Ethan tried to forget the little girl in the rain, but he could not. Every time rain hit the roof of his small room, he remembered her thin hands and scared silver eyes. He wondered if she had reached home safely. He wondered if she even had a home. His own home was simple. It was one small room above the alien workshop. There was a bed, a stove, a repair table, and a window that looked toward the docking bay. Most nights Ethan ate alone and slept early because work started before sunrise. On the third night, he was repairing an old ship battery when someone knocked on his door. The knock was soft. Ethan stood slowly. No one visited him this late. When he opened the door, he froze. Nira stood outside. She was still thin and weak, still wrapped in simple cloth, but now she was holding the hand of a woman. The woman was tall, tired, and beautiful in a sad way. She had pale blue skin, silver eyes, an elongated face, and subtle royal markings almost hidden under a worn cloak. Her clothes were old, but she still carried herself with quiet dignity. Nira looked up at Ethan. "This is my mother," she whispered. The woman stepped forward and lowered her head. "My name is Seraphine," she said. "You saved my daughter." Ethan moved aside quickly. "Come in. Both of you. It's cold." Seraphine entered carefully as if she expected a trap. Nira stayed close to her mother's side. Ethan placed warm water on the table. Nira took the cup with both hands. Seraphine did not drink. She only watched Ethan. Then, without warning, she dropped to her knees. Ethan stepped back in shock. "Please," Seraphine whispered, "become my husband." The room went silent. Ethan stared at her. "I'm sorry. What?" Seraphine's silver eyes filled with fear, not romance. "My husband was killed," she said. "My house was destroyed. They want to take Nira from me. In my law, if I bond with a foreign male, my child becomes protected." Ethan shook his head slowly. "I'm just a mechanic." Seraphine looked at Nira, then back at him. "You are the only one who helped her." Before Ethan could answer, alarms screamed outside. Black ships appeared above Greyhaven. Seraphine's face went pale. They found us. The black ships hovered above Greyhaven like silent predators. Red lights flashed across Ethan's small room. The window shook softly from the engines outside. Nira hid behind her mother, her little hands gripping the worn cloak tightly. Ethan looked from the window to Seraphine. "What do they want?" he asked. Seraphine's voice was low. "My daughter." Nira's silver eyes filled with tears. Ethan felt something heavy settle in his chest. He was afraid. Any normal man would have been afraid. He was only a mechanic with old tools, weak walls, and no weapons strong enough to fight royal soldiers. But then he looked at Nira. She was the same child he had found in the rain, hungry, cold, alone. And now, once again, powerful people wanted to treat her like property. Ethan turned to Seraphine. "Do you really want this bond?" he asked. "Or are you only asking because you are scared?" Seraphine looked surprised by the question. For a moment she did not speak. Then she answered honestly. "I do not ask for love," she said. "I ask for safety." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then listen to me. If I do this, you and Nira stay here as free people. Not servants, not prisoners. I will not own you. I will only protect you." Seraphine's eyes softened. "No male of my world would say that." "I'm not from your world," Ethan said. Seraphine removed a small silver chain from around her neck. At the end of it was a flat crystal disc with old symbols carved into it. She placed it on the table. "This is a protection bond," she explained. "It will mark you as my legal husband and Nira's guardian under royal law." Ethan looked at the crystal. Then he looked at Nira. The little girl whispered, "Will they still take me?" Ethan's face became firm. "No." He placed his hand on the crystal. Seraphine placed her hand over his. A soft silver light rose between them. It wrapped around Ethan's wrist and formed a glowing mark on his skin. Nira watched with wide eyes. For the first time, she smiled. Then loud boots sounded in the hallway. The door shook under a heavy knock. A cold voice shouted, "Open in the name of the Royal Council." Ethan stood in front of Seraphine and Nira. When the soldiers entered, he raised his marked wrist. "They are under human protection now." The soldiers stared at Ethan's wrist. The glowing mark was clear. It moved under his skin like silver fire. Seraphine stood behind him with Nira in her arms, both silent and afraid. The alien commander stepped forward. His armor was black, polished, and covered in royal symbols. He looked at Ethan like he was dirt on the floor. "You?" the commander said. "A poor human mechanic?" Ethan did not move. "Yes," he said. The commander laughed coldly. "You think a human bond can stop royal law?" Seraphine lifted her head. "The law is older than your council. A foreign protection bond cannot be broken without trial." The commander's face tightened. Outside, more colonists gathered in the lower corridor. They watched from doorways, workshops, and stairways. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. The colony leader, an older human woman named Mara, pushed through the crowd. "Ethan," she said quietly, "what have you done?" Ethan looked at her. "I helped a child." Mara looked at Nira. The little girl's face was buried against her mother's shoulder. The commander turned to the crowd. "This family belongs to the Royal Council. If you hide them, your colony will suffer." Fear moved through the people. Someone whispered, "Give them back." Another said, "We can't fight royal ships." Nira heard them. Her small body began to shake. Ethan stepped forward. "A child came to us for help," he said. "If we send her back to fear, then what kind of people are we?" No one answered. Ethan looked around the corridor. "I have fixed your heaters in winter. I have repaired your ships when you had no credits. I have carried your children through flooded halls. I never asked what bloodline they had." The corridor became silent. Then an old miner stepped forward. "Ethan fixed my breathing pump last year," he said. "Wouldn't take payment." A pilot raised her hand. "He saved my cargo ship." A mother hugged her son. He fixed my boy's medical chair. One by one, the people moved closer to Ethan. Mara took a deep breath. "Docking bay doors are closed," she ordered. Engineers ran to control panels. Pilots locked their ships. Workers blocked the corridor with metal crates. The commander's smile vanished. "You choose death for a stolen child?" Ethan looked at Nira and Seraphine. "No," he said. "We choose humanity." The commander raised his hand. "Then we take the child by force." The attack began in the lower colony corridor. The alien soldiers pushed forward with shields and shock weapons, but the humans did not fight like soldiers. They fought like workers who knew every pipe, wire, and broken machine in Greyhaven. Engineers cut the lights in one section. Miners released steam from old pressure lines. Pilots used cargo loaders to block the hall. Sparks filled the air, but no one ran. Ethan pulled Seraphine and Nira into the alien workshop. "Stay low," he said. Nira was crying now. Her small hands covered her ears. The noise was too much. The fear was too much. Seraphine held her tightly. "It is all right," she whispered, but her own voice was shaking. Then something strange happened. Nira's hands began to glow. Soft silver light shone between her fingers. It spread across her arms and touched the metal floor. The machines inside the workshop stopped, then turned toward her like sleeping animals hearing a voice. Ethan stared. "Nira?" The little girl looked terrified. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. Seraphine closed her eyes in pain. "You must know the truth now," she said. Ethan turned to her. "What truth?" Seraphine looked at Nira with fear and love. "My daughter is not only royal, she is the last star voice." The words meant nothing to Ethan, but outside the workshop the alien soldiers suddenly became desperate. "Find the child," one shouted. "Do not let her speak to the cores." Seraphine continued quickly. "Long ago my husband's kingdom built ancient navigation cores. They controlled hidden ships across the stars. Only a star voice can wake them." Ethan looked at Nira. "She is a child." "She is also the key to a lost fleet," Seraphine said. "That is why they want her." Nira looked at Ethan, tears running down her pale blue face. "Are you afraid of me now?" Ethan knelt in front of her. He did not look at her glowing hands like they were weapons. He looked at her like she was still the hungry girl from the rain. "No," he said gently. "I'm afraid for you." Nira's crying slowed. Then the workshop floor shook. Far below Greyhaven, under the old shipyard, something ancient woke from sleep. A deep voice echoed through the metal walls. Star voice recognized. Nira looked up. The voice called again. "Princess Nira, come home." The old shipyard split open under Greyhaven. Metal floors unlocked. Ancient doors moved for the first time in generations. Dust fell from the ceiling of the alien workshop as a silver light rose from below. The enemy soldiers stopped fighting. Even they looked afraid. Ethan carried Nira through the corridor while Seraphine ran beside him. Human workers opened a path using tools and machines to hold back the royal soldiers. When they reached the shipyard, Ethan saw the ancient ship. It was not like any ship he had repaired. It was silver and smooth, with living lines of blue light moving across its body. Its wings were folded like a sleeping bird. Its front opened slowly, not like a machine but like something alive. Nira shook her head. "I can't," she whispered. "I'm scared." Seraphine knelt in front of her daughter. "You are your father's child," she said. "His voice is in you." But Nira still cried. The enemy commander appeared at the far side of the shipyard. "Take the child," he shouted. Soldiers ran forward. Ethan stepped between them and Nira. He had no royal blood, no great weapon, no army, only a wrench in his hand and a child behind him. "Nira," Ethan said without looking back. "Remember the rain?" Nira sniffed. "You were alone," Ethan said. "You were cold. You were hungry. But you still stood up and went home. That was brave." Nira looked at him. "I was scared." "Brave people are scared," Ethan said. They just don't let fear choose for them. Slowly, Nira reached for his hand. Ethan took it. The ship's lights suddenly became brighter. A deep voice filled the shipyard. Star voice confirmed. Then another pause. Guardian recognized. Everyone froze. Seraphine stared at Ethan. That is impossible, she whispered. The ship accepts only blood. The ship answered. Protection bond accepted. Chosen family recognized. The humans in the shipyard went silent. Then someone laughed in shock. Ethan looked at Nira. Looks like I'm in this with you. Nira held his hand tighter. Together they stepped onto the ship. The defense systems woke. Outside, the enemy commander screamed and activated a red command on his wrist. A countdown appeared in the sky. Greyhaven had been marked for destruction. The red countdown burned across every screen in Greyhaven. 10 minutes. The enemy commander would rather destroy the whole colony than let Nira escape. His ships moved into attack position above the settlement. The sky turned dark under their shadows. Inside the ancient royal ship, Nira stood between Ethan and Seraphine. Her small body shook, but she did not let go of Ethan's hand. Seraphine looked at him with pain in her silver eyes. You can still leave, she said. This was only a bond of protection. You do not owe us your life. Ethan looked through the ship's front window. Below them, humans were still standing in the streets. Mechanics, miners, pilots, mothers, children, poor people, tired people, ordinary people. But they had chosen to protect one scared child. Ethan turned back to Seraphine. I became your husband to protect you, he said. But I'm standing here now because you and Nira are my family. Seraphine's face changed. For the first time, she did not look like a hunted widow. She looked like someone who had found hope. Nira looked up at Ethan. Papa Ethan, she whispered. What do I do? The word hit him hard. Papa. He knelt beside her. You tell the truth, he said. Not with anger, not with fear, just the truth. Nira closed her eyes. The ship's blue lights wrapped around her. Her silver glow spread through the ancient navigation cores, then out into space. Every enemy ship went silent. Every screen across the fleet turned on. Nira's voice came through them all. She showed the Empire the hidden records, her father's murder, her mother's false charges, the Council's order to hunt a child, the commander's plan to destroy Greyhaven. The soldiers watched in horror. The commander shouted, Fire! No one obeyed. One by one, the enemy ships lowered their weapons. Then his own guards arrested him. Months later, Greyhaven was different. The lower corridors were brighter. The shipyard was alive again. Seraphine and Nira lived with Ethan above the workshop. Their bond had started as law. Then it became trust. And slowly, it became love. Nira called him Papa Ethan every morning. Seraphine no longer begged him to stay. One evening, she only held out her hand and asked, Will you walk with us? Ethan smiled and took it. He had helped a hungry little girl in the rain. And because of that kindness, a child found a father, a mother found hope, and the stars learned that family is not made by blood. It is made by love.